morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for gathering here on this warm day. I'm Jill Sellers, president of Main Street, Gettysburg, and a member of the America 250 PA Adams County Steering Committee. And we'll welcome you to this event today, the Road to Revolution, the 250th anniversary gathering at the Gettys Tavern. It's an honor to share this moment with America 250 PA event with all of you, despite the heat. Thank you for braving today's weather, especially our friend Ed, who is here in his revolutionary attire. So if you can imagine, 250 years ago, the soldiers that gathered here in that costume, probably in similar weather to start their trek towards York. So we are right here on the site of Gettys Tavern. We're especially pleased to welcome some very special guests today. Nanette Williams and her husband are here. Nanette is the 5th great granddaughter of Samuel Gettys, and we're thrilled to have them here. Samuel Gettys stood at this location, so what a powerful connection between the past and the present that we have. We also extend our sincerest thanks to another descendant, that's Mark Gettys, who's a cousin of Nanette. He generously sponsored the restoration of the plaque that we are rededicating today, so our thanks to Mark. The plaque was originally placed for the bicentennial here in 1975, and today we rededicate that for the semi-sesquicentennial, ensuring that the story is honored for generations to come. Our thanks to Tom Jolin for providing his talent for period music today. That was amazing. And for Ted Hurt for displaying the colonial muskets that you can come see before you leave today. The sons and daughters of the Revolution, thank you for taking us back to 1775 today, for braving the weather and adorning a costume today as with the Daughters of the Revolution. Thanks to the DER and the SAR. So the America 250 PA Adams County Steering Committee is comprised of Adams County, the Borough of Gettysburg, Destination Gettysburg, Adams County Historical Society, the Gettysburg Foundation, the National Park Service, and Main Street Gettysburg. It's my privilege now to introduce to you Jackie White. Her 6th great grandfather came to Adams County in 1738, making Jackie the 9th generation to live here in Gettysburg.
What?
Jackie. She is the owner of the Dobbin House, built in 1776. She is a community champion, and we are so blessed to have her here. Thank you all for joining us to celebrate this proud legacy as we start talking and celebrating our road to revolution.
Hey, thank you, Jill, very much. As Jill mentioned, this event is brought to us and made possible by the America 250 PA Adams County Steering Committee. And it was formed to honor the people and the events that shaped our county and our nation 250 years ago. Now, if you'd like more information on the Adams County Steering Commission and our 250 events, we have some flyers over here on the table, and it has a list of the website where you can follow what we think is going to be hundreds of events throughout the entire county over the next year and a half. And also there is an email address because we hope some of you will want to help us to celebrate and to volunteer for some of these events. So again, my name is Jackie White. I think I'm here because I represent 2 ancestries of the European immigrants who came to Adams County. Although at the time of 1775 that we're commemorating today, there was no Adams County. It hadn't been formed yet. This was the western side of York County. And my sixth great-grandfather, Adam Dick, came to this area in 1738, settled in the eastern side of the county. But I'm also the owner of the oldest building in Gettysburg, the Dobbin House, which was built in 1776 by a Scots-Irish person, Reverend Alexander Dobbin. He came to this area to be the minister of the people who were settled in this area, which we now call Gettysburg, and that was predominantly Scots-Irish. So both of these groups were persecuted and were hurt by their government entities in their homelands in Europe. So they wanted to come to America, come here for freedom and to obtain land and to get opportunity. And both of them, with their backgrounds, were among the most staunchest advocates for wanting separation from Great Britain. So when the Second Continental Congress put out the call for some crack riflemen, they were eager to answer that call. They were very active in local militias that were going on, and they came to this very spot on this date, June 24th, 1775, exactly 250 years ago, to enlist in the brand new Continental Army and to join General George Washington in Boston, Massachusetts, and become part of the struggle against Britain. So today we honor these men. You know, when you look at the artwork of the period back at that time, they often will show these men leaving their plows in the field to join George Washington with dedication and courage in their hearts. They wanted to help bring about American independence. They thought of themselves as just ordinary citizens, but to us today, we honor them as extraordinary heroes.
Amen.
Thank you. And now, I'd like to introduce the president and the CEO of the Adams County Historical Society, Andrew Dalton.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start just by thanking Jackie White for her remarks and for being a steward of such an incredible landmark in Gettysburg, the Dobbin House, which I think we all know and love. And I also really want to recognize Jill Sellers for the incredible work that she and Main Street Gettysburg have done to put this together for us today. She was out here early this morning and braved the heat. So for her and for everybody here, I'm going to try to make my remarks shorter than I had planned so we can get back into the shade if you're not already in the shade. Most people know Gettysburg for its defining role in the Civil War, but of course our story began much earlier. It began exactly 250 years ago right here. And I like to think about what these soldiers would have said if they could have known that we'd be gathered here 250 years later. I think they'd be pretty surprised. James Gettys, if he were here, he'd probably wonder where his house went. Now there's a parking garage. But nonetheless, there's still this beautiful memorial, where you can come and reflect on this sacrifice. Those men in 1775 didn't have much in common on the surface. Some were German, some Scotch-Irish, some were Catholic, Presbyterian. There were free black men that served in the ranks of the Continental Army too. But in that moment, what united them was more powerful than what divided them. A shared belief in liberty and a willingness to risk their lives for it. Some of those young men never returned. Others came home and helped build this community. Some have descendants who are here today. And that connection is so present in all of our lives. It's history, and it will live on forever. And I think that's why preserving our history matters, because we have to understand where we've been to understand where we're going. America's story is complex. It's full of conflict and contradiction, but also courage, sacrifice, and hope. We are all part of that story. And as we mark this important anniversary, I hope we can remember that we have so much more in common than what divides us. We may live differently, or vote differently, or worship differently, but at the end of the day, we are all neighbors, we are all Americans, and we can only move forward by seeing the humanity in one another, and by choosing, just as these very different men chose to do 250 years ago, to put their differences aside, lift each other up, and fight for a better future. Now, to give us the history of the day, what happened here 250 years ago, it's my pleasure to introduce someone who spent decades studying, preserving, and sharing the history of this remarkable place. He is the official historian of Adams County and the Director of Education at the Adams County Historical Society. Please welcome my good friend and colleague, Tim Smith.
So we are gathered here today to commemorate an event that occurred here on this site 250 years ago today. On June 24th, 1775, men from the Marsh Creek settlement gathered to form a company of volunteers that would ultimately join Washington's army in the opening campaign that led to the independence over British tyranny. The site of this meeting was Samuel Gettys Tavern. Like many of the settlers of Marsh Creek, Samuel was a Scotch-Irish Presbyterian born in Northern Ireland. After generations of discrimination and religious persecution in the lowlands of Scotland, which continued upon their resettlement in Northern Ireland, these people were among the early settlers of Pennsylvania and what William Penn referred to as his great religious experiment. The Marsh Creek settlement, as it was known, was established in the 1730s and 1740s. In 1747, an east-west road was established from York to Nicholson's Gap in the South Mountain Range. And although we argue about the exact location of this road, it passed through this very area. In 1761, there was evidence that Samuel Gettys had opened a tavern along this road at this site. In 1765, a survey of the property indicates that Gettys owned 381 acres along what was shown on the survey as the Marsh Creek Road. By 1769, a few years later, the Baltimore-Shippensburg Road was established, and an intersection of these two roads was created right here at the Gettys Tavern. As a result, the tavern became the center of activity of social and political discourse in western York County, Pennsylvania. At the time, taverns played a crucial role in community affairs. Not only did they supply rooms and meals for travelers, they served as stagecoach stops. Mail and packages were delivered here. And essentially, the first news from the outside world would be received at taverns. Official county business and courts were held at the taverns, as well as unofficial gatherings and public meetings. So it was here, on June 24th, 1775, that locals gathered to discuss the escalating tensions between British soldiers and the people of the Massachusetts colony. The shots heard round the world reverberated through the frontier of western Adams County. The Battle of Lexington and Concord were fought on April 19th, 1775, and the Battle of Bunker Hill was fought on June 17th. Just 2 days earlier, in Philadelphia, the Second Continental Congress appointed George Washington as commander of the newly formed Continental Army. Word was sent to York County, and Gettysburg received the call. A company of men from Marsh Creek were formed under the command of Captain Michael Doodle. We should remember that these Scotch-Irish shared no love lost for the British. It was their ancestors who had been persecuted by the English in Scotland. I'm sure we've seen Braveheart. And then in Northern Ireland. And a few years earlier, before this, it was their families who were abandoned by the British and left to fend off against the French and Indians during that war. And now they were being taxed for that war and threatened by those same people. On July 1st, the company arrived in York, where they joined other companies. They traveled 400 miles to Boston. And he arrived on July 25th, 1775, and immediately participated in the campaign. A campaign that would ultimately lead to the evacuation of Boston by British forces. Throughout the subsequent years of war, hundreds of Yorktowners, later Adams Countyans, participated in the Revolution, and our local cemeteries are filled with veterans of that war and markers to their honor. The marker here commemorates that event which occurred here and was dedicated on June 24th, 1975, the bicentennial of the event. The speakers at that dedication ceremony 50 years ago today included J. Bruce Mackley, president of the Gettysburg National Bank, and of course, this parking lot was owned by the bank at that time. Colonel Jacob Shees, beloved teacher and local historian, and Dr. Charles Gladfelter, my mentor, my colleague, and my friend, who was chairman of the Adams County Bicentennial Committee. And today, we are here to rededicate this same monument on the 250th anniversary, the semi-quincentennial of the event, to honor one of the first acts that led to American independence on the very spot where it occurred. Thank you.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and starting to celebrate with us here in Adams County. So please, as Jackie indicated, take some information with you. Please get in touch with the commission. We are going to be looking for volunteers and to really roll out the red carpet for the 250th next year. So thank you again. Please stay hydrated, and we look forward to more events with more friendly faces to commemorate these amazing things that happened right here in our hometown.